Assalamualaikum. Good day everyone. We are from Group 8 and today we will be presenting on the topic titled the utilization and management of natural resources in Brazil for the course ECO4273 Land and Forest. This presentation we explore how Brazil, one of the most resource rich countries in the world, manage its land, forest and natural asset in the face of global economic demand and sustainability challenge. Our group consists of 10 dedicated members, each contributing to the research and preparation of this preparation. Here are the name and matrix number of all the members in Group 8.
Brazil is the largest country in South America with a population of 210 million people. It is home to the Amazon rainforest, a vital part of Earth's climate system. Brazil is a major agriculture and mineral exporter. Production large amount of soy, beef, sugarcane and coffee. It plays a key role in global trade, especially with a country like China and US. However, Brazil is struggling with income inequality and environmental problems. Agriculture exploitation has led of deforestation affecting biodiversity and contribute to climate change.
Brazil is located in South America, occupy about half of the continent's land area. Its border every South American country except Chile and Ecuador. Brazil is the largest country in the southern hemisphere and the fifth largest in the world. Its geographical coordinates are 14.2350 degrees south and 51.9253 degrees west. Brazil also includes several oceanic islands and such as Fernando de Trinidad and Martinique. The country is famous for its diverse geography, which includes the Amazon rainforest, the Atlantic coastline, and the Brazilian highland. This variety of landscape gives Brazil one of the richest biodiversity on Earth, supporting ecosystem that range from tropical rainforests to the coastal regions.
Hi, my name is Erica and today I'm going to talk about the national flag of Brazil. The color green represents the Amazon rainforest and natural resource. Yellow symbolizes mineral wealth, especially gold. The blue globe shows the night sky over Rio de Janeiro on 15 November 1889. 27 stars represent 26 states plus federal district. Brazil's motto Ordem e Progresso, Order and Progress, reflects Brazil's goals of unity and development.
Okay, today I will briefly present the population in Brazil. Brazil country has a total population of around 215 million people, making it one of the most populous countries in the world. For the first time since 1991, the group known as Pardos, which refers to people mixed racial background, has become the largest racial group in Brazil. They make 45.3% of the population, with 92.1 million people identifying as Pardo. They are followed closely by Brancos at 43.5% and then Pretos at 10.2%. Smaller groups include indigenous people at 0.8% and Asian at 0.4%. This shift reflects Brazil's deeply diverse and multicultural history, shaped by colonization, migration, and intermarriage over countries. It also shows increasing recognition and acceptance of mixed race identity with modern Brazilian society.
Administration in Brazil. Brazil practices a federal presidential system. The president acts as both head of state and government, supported by the National Congress and an independent judiciary. Power is shared between federal, state, and local government. This structure ensures better governance and help address the need of Brazil's large and diverse population.
Culture in Brazil. Brazil have a unique and lively culture shaped by indigenous people, Portuguese, African, and immigrants from countries like Italy and Japan. Their music and dance are very famous, especially samba during the Carnival festival. Other styles include bossa nova and capoeira, a martial art that looks like dancing. Brazil food is also special, like feijoada, pão de queijo, and sweet treat like prendeiros. They love to celebrate festivals such as Festa Junina and Lemejeda Day, which make Catholic and African tradition. In short, Brazil culture is colorful, joyful, and great example of unity in diversity.
Between 2013 and 2022, Brazil's economy experienced significant fluctuation in its GDP growth. The country recorded moderate growth of around 2.3% in the early years, followed by a sharp economic downturn in 2015 and 2016, where GDP growth fell to approximately 3.5% due to internal political instability and falling commodity prices. A slow recovery took place from 2017 and to 2019, but this was again disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, which caused a contraction of negative 3.3%. However, Brazil demonstrated resilience with a strong rebound in 2021, achieving growth above 4% and stabilized to around 3% in 2022. This economic trajectory highlights the country's vulnerability to both internal crises and global shocks, while also reflecting its capacity for recovery.
Hi, I am Aisha. I'm going to talk about macroeconomic indicator, inflation rate. Brazil faced recurring inflation driven by economic and political instability. It peaked at 10.06% before easing to 5.79% after policy measures, highlighting the need for stronger reforms and stable governance. Pause.
Hi, I'm Putri. Now I want to talk about unemployment rate. Between 2013 and 2014, Brazil's unemployment rate slightly declined from 7.07% to 6.76%. However, from 2015 to 2020, it rose sharply, reaching 13.70% due to economic instability and the COVID-19 pandemic, which caused widespread job losses, especially in rural and resource-based sectors. A gradual recovery followed in 2021 and 2022, with unemployment falling to 9.23%, driven by improved resource management, sustainable development efforts, and increased investment in natural resource sectors. This trend highlight the strong link between environmental, governance, and labor market performance. Brazil's unemployment pattern shows that poor resource management can worsen joblessness, while sustainable development and strategic investment can help boost employment and economic recovery.
Brazil has consistently shown strong export performance, with value ranging from 217.6 billion to 272.3 billion US dollar, largely driven by natural resources like soybean, crude oil, oil ore, and agricultural production. Even during period of high inflation above 9%, export remained resilient, highlighting the strength and global competitiveness of Brazil's resources-based industries. This steady growth reflects the country's effective use its natural asset to support economic activity. Brazil high import values ranging from 227.1 billion to 302.0 billion US dollar reflect its strong dependence on foreign technologies, machinery, and refined good needs to support its resource-based industries. In the year import peak, inflation was 6.20%, suggesting that costly import may contribute to domestic inflation. This trend indicates structural reliance on external input, showing that Brazil's natural resources sector still depend on foreign support to maintain efficiency.
Today, I'll be sharing about Brazil's major natural resource and their significance to the country's economy and environment. I cover six key areas. First, petroleum. Brazil is one of the world's top oil producers thanks to large offshore reserves in the Santos and Campos Basin. The state company Petrobras leads production with major fields like Tupi and Brazil. In 2023, Brazil produced over 3 million barrels a day with China as a key export destination. However, deep water drilling has raised environmental concerns, especially after past oil spills. Second, hydropower. Hydropower generates more than 60% of Brazil's electricity. The Itaipu Dam shared with Paraguay is one of the large hydro plants globally. Another project, the Belo Monte Dam, faced backlash for affecting indigenous communities and ecosystems. Droughts in 2021 and 2022 exposed the risk of over-reliance on hydropower. Brazil is now investing more in solar energy. Third, timber. Brazil rainforest is a major source of tropical hardwoods like mahogany and cedar, but illegal logging is widespread due to weak law enforcement. This contributes to deforestation and increased Brazil carbon emission, drawing global criticism. 4. Agriculture land. With over 250 million hectares of farmland, Brazil is a top exporter of soybean, beef, and coffee. However, large-scale agriculture, especially cattle raising, has driven deforestation in the Amazon, while sustainable practices are promoted and conflicts, environmental damage still exists. Second last, Brazil has iron ore reserve in the world, mainly in the Crajes mine. The company exports most to Chinese. A rail expansion project is underway, but it has raised concern about impacts on indigenous land rights. Lastly, Brazil provides 50% of global bauxite used to make aluminium. Mining areas are like Juriti and Trombetas are active, and the Alornet refinery is one of the largest in the world. However, a major 2018 tailing leak caused environmental damage, leading to tighter regulations. Courts recently suspended mining in protected area.
I am 69896 Nurmasita binti Muhammad Sabir from Chapter 2. I will focus on the stocking of Brazil's natural resources from 2013 to 2022. This part highlights the quantity and production trends of key resources such as petroleum, hydropower, timber, agriculture land, iron ore, and also bauxite. Brazil resource stocks remain strong, with significant outputs recorded annually, supported by vast reserves and active exploitation. However, despite this large stock, sustainability and environmental concerns are still critical. Crude oil from 2013 to 2022, Brazil increased oil production to over 3 million barrels per day. Led by offshore developments, it becomes energy self-sufficient and key exporter to China. Hydropower supplies 60 until 70% of Brazil's electricity, despite droughts. Large dams like Itaipu and Belo Monte remain vital. For timber, Brazil produces over 50 million meters of timber yearly. Most come from plantations, but illegal logging is still a major issue. Agriculture land, Brazil has over 250 million hectares of farmland. Soybean production doubled between 2013 until 2022. Cattle population reached until 224 million per head. Iron ore, Brazil holds 29 billion tons of iron ore, mainly in Carajás. China imports over 65% of Brazil's production. For bauxite, Brazil ranks third globally in bauxite reserves. Despite high capacity, expansion is limited by environmental regulations.
For Chapter 2, I will explain about crude oil. From 2016 to 2023, Brazil's crude oil production rose from 2024 to a record 3,022,000 barrels per day, mainly driven by the rapid development of offshore pre-salt reserve in the Santos and Campos basins. Technological improvement and better production sharing agreements support steady growth. Although output dips to 2,587 in 2018 due to regulatory and operational challenges, its rebound to 2,940 to 2020 in 2020 following reform and expanded FPSO capacity. After a slight drop in 2021, production peaks again in 2022, supported by efficient rigs and lower break-even costs. Brazil's crude oil production experienced steady growth from 2013 to 2022, driven largely by advancement pre-salt offshore exploration and regulatory reforms. The record output in 2022 reflects the country's improved efficiency, technological innovations, and strategic investment in energy infrastructure. Secondly, hydropower. In 2013, hydropower accounted for 68.5% of Brazil's electricity, but output declined in the following years due to severe droughts that reduced river flow and reservoir levels. Although production peaked at 428,600 gigawatt in 2018. With improved rainfall, it fell again by 2021, reaching the decade's lowest share of 55.3% due to historic droughts. Brazil had to rely more on costly thermal power during this period. Output slightly recovered in 2022 to 397,000 gigawatt, but the fluctuation highlight the needs for better dam management, improved water policies, and diversification into other renewable resources. Brazil's reliance on hydropower has made its electricity supply highly vulnerable to climate variability, especially during periods of severe droughts. While recent recovery shows potential long-term sustainability, requires improved water management, environmental protection, and diversification into more resilient renewable energy resources. Thirdly, timber. Brazil's timber production fell from 56.8 million m3 in 2013 to 52.7 million m3 in 2050 due to stricter forest regulation and crackdowns on illegal logging. From 2016 to 2018, output stabilized at 54 million m3 through improved forest concessions and selective logging. A slight dip in 2019 follows stricter deforestation enforcement, but production recovered in 2020 to 54 million m3. Driven by increased demand for legal timber in the furniture and housing sectors. Brazil's timber production trends reflect the tension between environmental regulation and economic activity, where stricter oversight initially reduced output but later encouraged more sustainable practices. The gradual recovery and stabilization in recent years highlight the potential for legal forest management to balance ecological preservation with industry demand.
Between 2013 and 2022, Brazil agricultural land expanded from 228.3 million hectares 28% to 237.0 million hectare 28.7%, largely driven by increasing global demand for soybean, corn and sugarcane, especially from markets like China and the EU. This growth was supported by rising commodity prices and advancement in agricultural technology, particularly in the Cerrado region. Most of the new cropland came from converted pastoral rather than forest clearance, allowing Brazil to increase production without immediately breaching forest conservation target. From 2018 onward, although total agricultural land area continued to grow slightly in percentage of national land, began to decline due to urban development, protected area, and stronger environmental regulation. Report like Map Biomass 2022 and World Bank 2023 note that reforestation effort, indigenous land protection, and sustainability policies such as the soil memorandum played a role in limiting agricultural expansion into forest area. In the same time, Brazilian agriculture began shifting toward intensification over expansion, focusing on improving yield through better input, mechanization, and digital farming tool rather than clearing additional land. Brazil agricultural land expansion from 2013 to 2022 reflect a shift from extensive growth through land conservation to more intensive technology-driven production. While absolute land use increased, the declining percentage share signal a broader national transition toward land conservation, sustainable practice, and more efficient use of existing agricultural area. Between 2013 and 2022, Brazil iron ore production experienced a fluctuating trend. It started at 394,000 metric ton in 2013, rising slightly to 400,000 in 2014 due to strong demand from major markets like China. However, production began to decline from 2015 onward, influenced by falling global commodity prices and economic uncertainty, which led many companies to reduce output. A major turning point came in 2019 with a Brumadinho Dam disaster involving Vale's LSA, Brazil's largest mining company. This tragic event prompted stricter safety regulation and the shutdown of several mining sites, significantly affecting production level. From 2020 to 2022, even as global market recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic, iron ore output remained below earlier level, dropping from 230 to 310,000 metric ton due to ongoing supply chain issue, health-related restriction, and a national shift toward more regulated and environmentally sustainable mining practice. This trend highlight Brazil's effort to balance economic development with environmental and social responsibility. Brazil iron ore production from 2013 to 2022 reflect a complex interplay between global market dynamic, environmental disaster, and evolving regulatory framework. While initial growth was driven by external demand, especially from China, later decline were shaped by sister safety regulation, sustainability commitment, and the country's shift toward more responsible natural resources governance. Between 2013 and 2022, Brazil bauxite production showed notable fluctuation. It rose steadily from 24,200 metric ton in 2013 to a peak of 39,244 in 2016, driven by strong global demand for aluminium and expanded mining in the region like the Amazon. From 2017 onward, production stabilized around 35,000 metric ton, reflecting a phase of adjustment after rapid growth. Slight decline in 2018 and 2019 were linked to stricter environmental regulation and licensing delays, particularly in ecologically sensitive area. From 2022, production remained relatively stable but slightly declined to in 2022 30,000, partly due to COVID-19 disruption and increasing emphasis on sustainable mining. This shift marked Brazil growing from a focus on balancing resources extraction with environmental protection through regulatory measure and technological innovation. Brazil bauxite production has fluctuated over the past decade due to the shift in global demand, regulatory pressure, and environmental consideration. While peak output reflects strong export performance, recent stability and mild declines highlight the country growing from focus on sustainable mining practice and responsible resource management.